For most of his life, Al Roker was known as the man who always had answers. Weather patterns, breaking forecasts, unexpected storms. He made sense of uncertainty for millions of viewers each morning. His confidence came not from certainty alone, but from preparation, from understanding, from knowing where to look when answers weren't obvious. But there came a time when even Al Roker, the trusted voice of reassurance, found himself facing questions no one could answer. And this time, the mystery wasn't on a map or a radar screen. It was inside his own body. Long before his health struggles became public, Al began noticing changes he couldn't explain. Fatigue that didn't lift with rest, discomfort that came and went without warning. Subtle signals that something wasn't right, but nothing clear enough to name. Test after test followed, appointments stacked one after another. Specialists offered theories, possibilities, educated guesses, but no clear diagnosis, no neat explanation, no timeline for resolution. For someone accustomed to clarity, the uncertainty was deeply unsettling. Undiagnosed health conditions carry a unique kind of frustration. You don't just feel unwell, you feel unheard. When results come back normal, but your body insists otherwise, doubt begins to creep in. You question your own instincts. You wonder if you're imagining things. You start to feel invisible inside a system designed to label and categorize. Al has since reflected that this period was one of the most emotionally exhausting chapters of his life, not because of pain alone, but because of not knowing what was wrong, not knowing how serious it might be, not knowing how long it would last. For viewers in their 60s, this experience feels achingly familiar. Many have faced symptoms that didn't fit neatly into a diagnosis. Aches dismissed as just aging, fatigue brushed off as stress, concerns minimized because nothing obvious showed up on paper. And in that space between symptoms and answers, fear quietly grows. Throughout this ordeal, Deborah Roberts became Al's steady constant, not as a fixer, because there was nothing she could fix, but as a witness. She listened when frustration spilled over. She asked questions when he was too tired to keep pushing. She carried the emotional weight of uncertainty alongside him, even as she continued to show up for her own demanding career. Deborah has spoken before about how difficult it is to watch someone you love struggle without answers. You want clarity, you want reassurance, but all you can offer is presence. And sometimes, presence is the most powerful medicine of all. Al has admitted that this period forced him to confront something he had rarely allowed himself to feel: vulnerability without resolution. There was no forecast to deliver, no timeline to present, just the uncomfortable truth that some journeys unfold without explanation. That realization was humbling. It taught him patience in a way nothing else ever had. It softened his expectations of himself, of medicine, of certainty itself. He learned that strength isn't always about pushing forward. Sometimes it's about sitting with unanswered questions and continuing anyway. Eventually, pieces began to come together, not all at once, not cleanly, but slowly enough to restore a sense of direction. Even then, Al says the experience left a permanent mark, not of fear, but of awareness. He listens to his body differently now. He respects signals he once ignored, and, perhaps most importantly, he approaches others with deeper empathy, especially those navigating invisible struggles. For people in their 60s, Al's reflection carries a quiet but powerful message. You are not alone in your uncertainty. Your experience is valid, even when it defies easy explanation. And persistence, advocating for yourself, asking questions, leaning on those you trust, matters more than quick answers. Medical mysteries test more than physical endurance. They test patience, relationships, identity. They ask you to live without the comfort of certainty and to find meaning anyway. Al Roker's story isn't about illness as a headline. It's about the emotional toll of not knowing and the quiet resilience required to keep going. In the end, the greatest lesson he took from that chapter wasn't about diagnosis or recovery. It was about compassion for himself, for Deborah, for anyone walking through life with unanswered questions. Because sometimes the hardest part of healing isn't the condition itself, it's waiting to be understood.